I'm in my mid-20s and just started a serious relationship for the first time. Things are going well, but I'm always wondering what blind spots I might have. If you have been with someone long-term, what is something you wish someone had told you at the start? Could be about communication, mindset, habits, or anything really. I am just trying to learn from people with more experience. Story 1. Good question. 25-year relationship for me. Tips. Make it both of your missions to be the biggest support to help your partner achieve anything they want. Your job is to help them and they help you. Talk through everything and take radical responsibility for the things that are your issues. Never assume that each of you have the same meaning behind an action. Always check. You will be amazed at how often the same action means totally different things. Learn the love languages. They are incredibly powerful and often uncomfortable at first. Start from the foundation that all things in life are equally both of your responsibility. All the things you are good at, don't know anything about, hate, and love are equally your responsibility. From there, trade things that you don't like for things that your partner doesn't mind. The key is admitting and accepting that everything is equal to begin with. Know that there will be hard times, but the strongest relationships are strong because they have been through hard times. Go to counseling or therapy when you need it. It's uncomfortable, and it's not cheap, but it is life-changing. Do small things for each other every day, but make them small things that are important to the other person, not to you. Give each other space to have your own lives. Friends, adventures, trips, etc. Make time for date nights or days. Learn skills in how to disagree, share feelings, and work through difficult things. If you have a strong emotion, wait before you bring it up. I'll stop there. Story 2. It is a cliché, but actions speak louder than words. This is not just intimate relationship advice. It applies to any type of relationship. Pay attention to what people do rather than what they say. Story 3. One thing I wish I knew earlier. Your partner cannot read your mind, and staying quiet does not help. If something is bothering you, even if it is small, talk about it. The longer you hold it in, the worse it gets. Do not stop doing the little things just because you are official now. Keep showing effort, keep dating them. That matters way more than people think. Story 4. Boundaries are very important. Set a standard for yourself and let any prospects know what you will not tolerate. If they trigger one or two of your red flags, leave and do not give them another chance. Story 5. If you notice major red flags or stop signs, do not ignore them when they become apparent. I am not saying to look for reasons to break up, but if something really rubs you the wrong way, first, assume positive intent. Second, communicate. Third, make a mental note. Story 6. Just talk to each other. Be open. Communicate. Not only when something is bothering you. Share the praise more than the criticism. Story 7. I would say the one thing I wish I knew earlier was that the vast majority of arguments or points of contention do not need to be confronted as soon as they arise. If a discussion is going to get heated or emotional, there is usually no reason why both parties cannot agree to wait a little while for the emotions to calm down before having a conversation about something serious. Obviously, it is bad to keep postponing issues, but if a girl had enough self-awareness to tell me, "Listen, this is upsetting us. Let's take a moment to calm down. Then we can pick up where we left off," I would have a ton of respect for her. My last relationship would have had a much higher chance of working out had decisions not been made hastily while both parties were mired in negative feelings. Story 8. Communication is important, especially if you trust your partner. If you have something on your mind, have the tough conversations. It is better than letting resentment build. However, it is also good to think things through for a while before bringing them up. Communicate with your partner about how you like to communicate. Do not be afraid to speak up about boundaries, as boundaries are your responsibility and your partner may have no idea. Something interesting I learned recently is that 70% of issues in a relationship are never solved. If a problem comes up, you have to ask yourself if you are willing to argue over this for the whole relationship. Everyone you meet will be flawed. You have to accept these flaws. Otherwise, it will not work. Story 9. If both of you want the relationship to work, then both need to understand it will require compromises. Do not let one side compromise too much, as that will lead to resentment, which is not good for the relationship. Story 10. You'll want to know if you have similar ideas about how you see the future. I met my wife over 10 years ago, and some of the tensions that have come up over the last decade include where we're going to live. I wanted to get further away from the claustrophobic city and have some space in a quiet neighborhood. Her priority was wanting to be within 5 minutes of as much family as possible. Those things did not mesh well and made the home buying process tumultuous. Of course, all long-term relationships will require compromise. You won't see eye to eye on everything, that's life. But if you share a similar vision of where you see yourself in 10 years, especially regarding children and living situation, it will be smoother. Story 11. I am probably the outlier here. I am sorry for some of the things you have gone through, but I love being married. My wife is my absolute best friend and the person I want to be around the most. We have different hobbies but enjoy doing things together. What I wish I knew earlier is that how I think she will react to something is not always how she will react. Have more faith in your partner. Story 12. If she is defensive and refuses to take accountability, such as blame shifting or stonewalling, leave immediately. Story 13. How much one of those small plastic carousel organizers can declutter the 40,000 bottles of creams and potions that women keep on the vanity. Story 14. Keep some friends to yourself. You will be very alone if you break up and do not. I have had ex-partners say some crazy things about me in the past to mutual friends. Story 15. To keep it short, you should want to face every problem as a team working towards a joint solution. If it feels like you are arguing to see who is right instead of working together, address it and get back to a good place. Story 16. Shared values are infinitely more important than shared hobbies or likes. As a teenager or young adult, it seems normal to find people who like the same things you do. My previous girlfriend of 5 to 6 years had similar hobbies, and we liked the same things. However, we had entirely different values. We would have no trouble finding something to do together, but making life decisions was like pushing a brick wall. My current wife and I have very different hobbies. Honestly, every now and then, it can be a challenge to find something we both want to do. But we share the same values in life, people, family, humor, and so on. We've never been at a crossroads in life where we were not able to meet halfway and both be happy. Story 17. Communication is key. Just blurting out what you are thinking is not the key. Understanding how to say what you want to say is just as important as knowing what to say. Story 18. Never make a woman the focus of your life. She should merely be an addition to it. Focus on your goals and purpose, and the right woman will be happy to come along for the ride. Story 19. Not every battle is worth fighting for. Let your ego go and be there to empathize with how your partner feels. Story 20. I wish I had been in more short-term relationships before my first long-term one. That way, I would have learned the basics of dating and understanding women before wasting 2 years of my life with my ex. Story 21. There is no such thing as too small a fight. If it bothers you, it bothers you. Don't pretend you're better than you are. Get up and talk it out until it no longer bothers you. Don't let yourself be accused of making a big fuss out of nothing either. The way someone treats you in small matters is the same way they will treat you in big matters. You just haven't reached that part yet. You disagree on something trivial? Good. This is sparring. This is your chance as a couple to learn how to resolve differing needs and preferences in a way that still makes you want to live together. You will need all the experience you can get when the big life challenges arise. Story 22. Obey your instincts. Even if you are not sure why something is a red flag, chances are your intuition is correct. If you do not follow it, you will eventually find out why you were right all along. Finding out after there are children, a marriage, or shared assets involved will be difficult. Story 23. Frankly, it is more about what I wish I knew about myself. You cannot control your partner, but you can certainly control how you react to your partner. If you are not emotionally stable, you will react negatively to every behavior you dislike. Do not focus on your partner. Focus on yourself. Learn to adapt to everything and you will make anything work. Good luck, friend. Story 24. When you meet her parents, Pay close attention to how her mother and she treat her father. That is likely how she will treat you. Story 25. I fell for the happy wife, happy life idea. There's always one more thing to compromise on until that happy life is supposed to happen. If you are planning to get married, discuss exactly how your future life should look, covering contingencies. Children, yes or no? How many? Who will work? How many hours? What kind of jobs? Who takes care of which chores? What happens in cases of long-term illness? Do you want to do most things together, or do you need private time? Friendships. Are opposite-sex friends okay or not? How about going on trips with friends without the partner? Intimacy. What quantity and quality do you each need? What happens if one person loses desire? I suggest reading The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. There are 1 or 2 chapters that are weak, but the rest is quite good. Story 26. I am responsible for protecting my boundaries. One thing I found very helpful, both for me and women I have been in a relationship with, was a video on YouTube about the nothing box. It is an older video from a marriage counselor who uses comedy. The video explains the differences between men's and women's brains. Many things made more sense after I saw this video. Story 27. Books to read for situations that may arise. Fight right. Learn to communicate when you are both angry. Come as you are, learn your sex cues. Changes in sexual expectations and drive after children. How each of you handles stress and communicates under pressure. Story 28. Love my wife. We have been together for 30 years and married for 28. As good as our relationship has been for the most part, I find myself wanting substantial alone time because even after all this time, she is still very needy and needs constant reassurance. Can be exhausting, but love conquers all. Story 29. Any secret you have, your partner will eventually find out. Be transparent because once your partner discovers the truth, they will never view you the same. Story 30. My partner's attachment style is a new way of looking at relationships. It makes understanding them much easier. My last relationship fell apart and made no sense until I learned about this theory. Story 31. Red flags are warnings for a reason. If you get on the wrong bus, get off at the first stop. Otherwise, the return trip will take longer and be more expensive. Story 32. Having to put in work does not mean it is not working out. Also, putting in work is inevitable. Maintaining a loving relationship for years requires sacrifice and effort. Story 33. Something I've learned is 1. Small arguments really don't matter. Most of the disagreements we have over what to eat, how someone said something we didn't like, or who was right or wrong are petty. In the grand scheme of life, they're meaningless. You never know how much time you have with someone. I was engaged to a woman I had known for 20 years. We were best friends long before we became a couple. We only dated for the last 5 years before she passed away unexpectedly. Looking back, I sometimes wish we hadn't waited so long, but I'm grateful we made the most of the time we had. Story 34. Being with someone who is sexually compatible should be a primary concern. Even if sex is only 10% of the relationship, if it is missing, it might as well be 100%. My marriage works extremely well because we have high sexual compatibility and actually enjoy each other's company. Story 35. What you allow is what you will receive. She goes silent when she is mad, expecting you to apologize, and you do so. Well, that is your relationship from now on. Set the rules from the start. I did not do it in my first long-term relationship, and it was unfixable later on. I did it in my next ones, and it was great. Story 36. You will both change over time. If you are lucky, you will change together. If not, then know when to let it go. Pay attention to her parents' relationship. It is her blueprint for what a relationship is, and she will default to it. The things she complains about her mother doing to her, she will do to you. Before you have children, understand that your relationship will completely change, and you will no longer be her primary concern. Most importantly, if you get food, get her food too, even if she says she does not want it. Otherwise, you will have half of your food. Story 37. Romantic passion thrives on space and distance. People's love lives are more active and exciting early on because there is still mystery and time apart to miss each other. Once you are fully engaged in each other's lives, your partner's foibles begin to wear on you, and you are no longer apart often enough to miss each other. There is no rule that your love life has to taper because the honeymoon phase is over. Your relationship is what you make of it. You can be more intimate at 4 years than you were at 4 months if you choose to, and it is a priority. To do so, you have to give each other space. Separate interests and trips apart give the other person a chance to miss you. A related point is that being best friends is not always a good thing. Story 38. 1. It is not important to be 100% all the time. What is important is to try not to both be low at the same time. When they are at 50% and having a rough time, dial it up and be 90% for a while. When you are having a rough time, you can dial back and they can pick up the slack. It is not about always being perfectly equal in all things all the time. It is about the two of you adding up to one happy, stable, shared life in the long-term aggregate. People do not really change. If there are red flags early on, they are not going away. They may subside for a while, but they will come back. So, if there is something about the relationship early on that has you thinking, man, I really cannot take this, but if I just tough it out, it will get better and then we will be happy. No, it will not. By about 6 months in, you should have a really good sense of who and what they are. Story 39. Not a man, but sometimes she's in a terrible mood because she's hungry, overwhelmed, or the hormones are affecting her. Things that are mildly annoying might seem like huge deal breakers. Give it some days. And guess what? The same applies to you. Conflict is a negotiation, a chance to understand each other better. It is very important to discuss things in a respectful way. No, you're an idiot. But rather, I feel this and that because of this action on your part. If she is anything like me, give her flowers regularly. Many things can be atoned for by giving flowers. Good luck. Story 40. You will both get as much as you put into the relationship. There will be times when she might be doing the heavy lifting, and there will be times when you do. If one person is doing all the groundwork, you will have a rough time. Communicate with each other. Show each other affection. Both of you should be looking forward to seeing each other after work, not dreading it. Appreciate each other. Do not take the little things you do for each other for granted. My wife is a talker and she calls me every day on her way to work and on her way home. I got annoyed with her one day and told her, I do not care about what your friend is saying. She took it in stride and said, okay. She would see me when she gets home. You know, I cannot tell you how incomplete I felt without my phone calls telling me she loves me, etc. We got back on track with them. Little things like that do not seem like much until they stop. Story 41. I was lucky to learn how to argue in a relationship correctly. Here are my pointers. It's you and her versus the problem, not you versus her. It's better to take yourself out of a situation, let yourself process and think, rather than say things you will regret. Never make ultimatums or threats if you can't back them up. If you bring up a break or a breakup, be ready for a breakup. Make sure she knows your boundaries. Also, never stop looking for things she might like. Small gestures like that always make my fiancé happy. Can be the simplest things. Story 42. I wish that I knew that I can enjoy the various stages of going all the way as the main event. For example, just before I submitted this reply, my wife asked me to kiss all over her breasts slowly in a circle before getting to the nipple. And that's it. No pressure from me to do anything else. 6 months ago, she wouldn't have even asked because she thought that if I touched her breasts, she would be expected to have sex with me, even if it was not something she wanted to do. We talked about it and decided to make decisions like the one I just described without going further, so that she can break the connection between foreplay and intercourse and enjoy small acts like this without pressure to perform a certain way. If one of us asks, then that's different. The other can say yes or no, and the other can respect the boundary if it is set. This was also helpful for me as well. It takes the pressure off me to feel like I have to perform a certain way when I can just enjoy giving her pleasure. Another thing I would like to add, talk about sex often and openly. Learn what your partner's needs are and meet them in the middle. Story 43. Pick your battles seriously. Not everything needs to turn into a debate or be fixed right away. Sometimes people just want to be heard, not helped. Also, keep dating them even after you are official. Effort does not stop at commitment. Learn how you handle conflict before it happens, not during. Story 44. I will be closing cabinet doors left open and turning off lights until one of us dies. Story 45. It takes work from both of you. You will not always both be giving 100%, and there will be periods where you slack off, but marriage or long-term relationship takes work. If you are not willing to put in the work and prioritize the family above your own personal interests, then do not even get involved. Story 46. It can become boring, and temptation is everywhere. Long-term relationships are not like butterflies. They are a decision every day. Sometimes it feels like rejecting a piece of strawberry chocolate cake with whipped cream because your long-term goal is to lose weight and become healthy. The cake represents flirting, casual sex, and the feelings of infatuation and excitement. The long-term goal is a stable relationship, security, loyalty, and reliability. It may be less fun and less exciting, but it is truly a gem if you have it. It is important that both partners are united in this and willing to put in the work. I think that is why cheating happens when one person in the relationship cannot resist the temptation. Story 47. It is good to keep some of your own hobbies and attend classes alone. It is great to still go on dates alone together. Sorry, I am a woman and was married for 19 years, but I feel like a man would say this too. Story 48. Continue to date her over the years like it is your first time dating her. Be romantic, take her out on planned dates, and surprise her with romantic gestures consistently. Just because you have her does not mean you stop dating her. Continue being the person she fell in love with. Story 49. You do not have to fight. Disagreements can happen. Hurting your partner's feelings by accident can happen. Difficult conversations should happen. But you can have a relationship without arguing, raising your voice, or holding a grudge. Story 50. You are not special. The love you share is not special. Trouble is coming for your relationship just like everyone else. So prepare for it. Military forces prepare for battles before the battles are even threatened. Keep in mind it is you against the problem, not you against each other. Communicate like your relationship depends on it. Spend time learning about your partner by observing them. Really get to know them as they are now, and remember that will change, so you will have to keep learning about them. Speaking from 21 years and 6 children together, I thought we were special and did not prepare as I wish I had. We are together, but the last several years have been harder than they needed to be. Story 51. If privacy is a major factor in your life, you may not be suited for a long-term relationship. I hope I can explain this clearly. Many people today confuse needing space with needing privacy. In a committed relationship with good communication, you essentially have no privacy. You may have places where you like to be alone, such as a cell phone. It is an example of your personal space. However, there should be nothing on it that needs to be kept private from your spouse. For example, when I go out with my friends to have a few drinks, this is an example of space. However, nothing I do with my friends is private from my wife, except personal information that my friends may share with me in confidence. Story 52. Not a man, but some advice from a woman. Attachment style and love languages are essential to know. Does she get anxious when you're away or busy? Or does she distance herself? Or does she seem comfortable with doing your own thing together? Try to find ways to come together to make both parties feel secure. Regarding love languages, if she buys you a lot of gifts she thinks you'd like, gift giving is her love language. If she likes being with you while you do chores or errands, it's quality time. If she makes things easier by doing tasks you've been putting off, like changing your bed, it's acts of service. If she loves being close and cuddly, it's physical touch. How she makes you feel loved is how she wants to feel loved. Just reciprocate. Story 53. People do not change. If they have warning signs like addiction, lying, and constantly starting drama, these behaviors will never go away and will only get worse. Story 54. Nothing, I guess. It's all part of the journey. If someone told me to watch out for something, I'd be sitting, analyzing, and trying to figure out if it's there the whole time, and that would probably make my relationship worse. Just go with it. Everything is new, and learning is the reward. Story 55. People talk a lot about relationships being work. I have been in many relationships, and all but one felt like work. I have been in that one for 10 years. There is maintenance that needs to be done occasionally, but the relationship does not feel like work. If it starts to feel like work, do not try to fix it. You will only delay the inevitable and cause unnecessary suffering for both of you. Story 56. Do not fully trust your wife. I let mine handle the budget, and although everything seemed fine for a couple of years, when things turned bad, they got really horrible fast. I had times without a cent for myself. I was so blind that I did not add the balance app of my bank account to my phone. By the way, it was a joint account where only my money was deposited. So my whole salary was there, but none of hers. When she started having her phase before we divorced, I finally downloaded the app and, surprise, surprise, I learned that I paid for everything and she did not. She had a pretty comfortable life with me covering all expenses. There was a time when I could not even buy new clothes. I have a better financial life now than when I was with her. Story 57. Honesty is first and foremost. If it is serious, do not play games where you hide things to avoid being vulnerable. Vulnerability is the point. If you cannot be your authentic self around them, then there is no real point. Story 58. Two of my friends had somewhat difficult relationships with their girlfriends at the start. However, they persevered, resolved their issues, and are still going strong with their girlfriends. Story 59. Those cardboard nail files and hair scrunchies will never go away. I will become a master at unclogging shower drains and bathroom sinks. The clumps of hair I pull from the drains are indeed not alien pods here to control my mind. Story 60. This is a relationship thread, so sex is involved. I would have done a much better job of losing her virginity. I regret how we handled it. Also, if you are not planning on having children ever, think deeply about it. A vasectomy will change your life, altering its trajectory. Never, ever, I repeat, ever separate for a job or school. You will eventually drift apart, and your relationship will dissolve. We are only human unless you are an artificial intelligence bot posting this question. Story 61. You can be vulnerable, maybe to the point that you tell them what happened, but you have to show how you overcame it. Every time I have been raw and vulnerable, it has been bad. They suddenly start distancing themselves. I cried in front of my partner after an 8-month streak of unemployment after being laid off. They called me soft, and the relationship ended 2 months later. People will disagree and say not everyone is like that, but it has been the same every time. Take care, everyone. Story 62. I have been with my wife for 10 years and married for 7 of them. This was hard. Originally, I wrote about background trauma, and while that can be helpful, I think I am going to focus on how we communicate. Figuring out our love language together was not only very fun, but also very interesting in understanding how we work together. It allowed us to figure out how to spoil the other person better. Both my wife and I have quality time as our #1 love language. Story 63. Marriage is wonderful, but children can make life difficult. Some tips I wish I knew when I turned 18. You are a complete person without children. Period. Having a spouse and pets is a family. You do not need children to start a family. You are a family. Just because your primary care physician said no, does not mean you cannot get a second opinion. Do not take no for an answer. There is no required age or number of children needed to be eligible for a vasectomy. If necessary, lie about already having children. However, never lie to your doctor about drug use. Lying about having children to receive necessary medical care is better in the long run. If it is not covered by insurance, save up and get the procedure done. Do not tell your family. They may pressure you into parenthood by promising help and saying children are easy. The support often disappears once the child is born. If you are not obsessed with children, you will likely have a difficult experience. They are expensive, annoying, and messy. Current estimates are $300,000 from birth to age 18. You will also likely get sick every flu season and have various surfaces in your home covered in sticky substances. Do not have children in a world facing significant challenges. It is not worth it. Story 64. Women often complain as a stress relief mechanism. They do not expect us to solve every issue they mention. Even if you give them an incredible experience, they may still ask, "Why did you make me feel this way?" Story 65. Just remember one thing. Concentrate on your growth. As the saying goes, she is not yours. It is just your turn. Story 66. Try to understand the person intimately. Learn about their interests, how interested they are in sexual activity, how often they would like to engage in it, and experience intimacy before considering marriage. Story 67. Do not take any women you are dating in your 20s seriously. Find out what you like, what you dislike, what boundaries you need, and how to have sex. This includes what you want and what you do not like. Enjoy the experience until age 25, and then decide if that is what you want. Story 68. Women's behavior is based on their feelings at any given moment, not on logic and reason. Their feelings are highly unpredictable. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.